West Coast Stone definitely puts it down on Baking Soda on the beat side of things. And
Yeah,
also on 30 Years Later, I wanted you to JD talks about falling in love with all this in the sixth grade on his verse. And I wanted you to talk about the fact that, we as people now have been dealing with rap basically almost our entire lives.
yeah,
So given that we did have some of our life before, but not much. But now that it's been our lives and we got children now and all these different things,
yeah.
how do you think it's shaped your life in basically any type of way you want to specify?
I mean, well, we're all in the same age group. You know what I'm saying? Me, you, and a lot of my peers that you interview, man. And it's hard to explain or describe, but the love of hip hop when you heard it for the first time. You know what I'm saying? And the creativity and the whole uh it just forming, taking shape and taking form in front of our very eyes. That's something that, any generation past ours could never understand. You know what I'm saying? So just that love and that feeling that I got from hearing hip hop, man, it just carried with me. And I'm a Dr. Dre cousin. I won't say I'm a Dr. Dre baby. I'm not an N.W.A baby because I came up with N.W.A. So I'm an N.W.A cousin. You know what I'm saying? And being an N.W.A cousin, man, I learned through Dre that make classic music. Just make bomb music. Nothing else matters. You know what I'm saying? The image don't matter. The type of person you are don't matter. Your ethnicity. How do you say it? Your ethnicity. Am I saying it right?
Yep,
That
ethnicity.
doesn't matter. Just make good music. You know what I'm saying? And I always felt that way every time I try to hit the studio, man. Like I really want to try to make something timeless, And I think with this record we did it, man. I really do.
Yeah. No, I thought it was great, man. And with 30 years later too, you got the referencing the Kumo D Go See the Doctor, which Kumo D I think doesn't get enough shout outs. So I appreciated seeing that too, or hearing that, I should say.
Yeah,
And then the
yeah.
thing with Old Head, I wanted you to talk about, or I was interested to hear your insight on that because I think throughout baking soda, you're paying homage to the people that came before you or came around the same time you did. And then
Exactly.
on Old Head, you address that a lot of times we don't get into that. But here's the wrinkle I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
Rap, the challenge is that rap is always very quick and has been since the 70s and 80s when we were first getting into it of dismissing people like, oh, he's whack, or that style is played, or people
Yeah,
don't dress like that anymore. So
yeah.
how do we balance people like us that love, cherish, respect, and honor the music to also deal with that reality that the same environment is the one that be like, oh man, he was played out. He was good like 6 months ago, but he's whack now. How do you kind of deal with that reality and make a song like Old Head and deal with that on a day-to-day basis yourself?
Well, that just started. You know what I'm saying? That attitude about, oh, he's played, he's old, he's not, that just started. I remember, like right now, I call this generation the microwave generation. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is fast and they want, soon, this generation that got so spoiled that, you could drop an album today and in about 3 weeks, they're asking you what's next. You know what I'm saying? Back in our day, man, you could write a whole album out a whole year. You know what I'm saying? A year and a half, if it was
I was about
classic.
to say, or more if you had the songs.
Exactly. You feel me? So, so that part of it is new to me as far as that go. But man, just to um, I wrote old heads for the simple fact of going, okay, I can see where, oh, that's an old head. He's an old head. He's not hip. He's not, and I'm like, nah, that you can't do that to us, man, because, I might not be a pioneer, but I've been in the game long enough, because when I say pioneer, I mean Roger Clayton, rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? I might not be in that bracket because of my age, but I was still around. I was like maybe 14, 15 when that was going on. So I remember all that. And you can't you got to pay homage. You know what I'm saying? You can't let what you think the here and now is all there is. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember, man, there was times me and Battlecat, when I was working on the Where's My Receipt album, me and Battlecat was going to record stores and we was pulling up records and we was looking at the back of the cover just to see who did what. Remember back in the day when you would buy like an old Kool in the Gang record, they'd tell you like saxophonist, guitar, bass, you know what I'm saying? They would even tell you what damn keyboard, the keyboard pair, Wesley Smith on the Juno 106. You know what I'm saying? Like it gave you that, and me and Battlecat used to really look at that and appreciate the art, the artistry, and the musicians. And I think the rappers these days don't care about none of that. I mean, none of it at all. You know what I'm saying? They could give a damn about an Ice Cube or a DJ Quik or KRS-One or a Big Daddy Kane, you know what I'm saying? Because they're just so living in the here and now. And I'm like, nah, man, you got to respect where it came from to understand where it should or could be going.
Yeah, I think it's very important. And wrapping up baking soda, you got the Still Mobbing outro, which I was interested to see what that was going to be, but then Big Rube is on it. And first off, how did you get him and what made you think of to put him on there?
Well, it was crazy how Big Rube came because I was trying to find a sound. It was a line that I wanted to sample, and I hit Big Rube, and I was like, Big Rube, man, you remember what song is this when you said did, and he was like, I don't remember. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I don't remember it. I was like, ah. He was like, why? What you want to use it for? And I was like, well, I want to use it for my outro. I want to scratch it. And he was like, why? Let me do it.
Okay.
Exactly. That face you just made. How could I say no to that, brother? You know what I'm saying? I was like, let's go. You know what I'm saying? So he came up with the concept, man, and the words he just said was just incredible, man.
Yeah. And he has, as always, so many amazing lines, but on the Still Mobbing outro, the tighter the grip, the quicker it fades. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that dude's a beast, man. He called me last night too, man, to congratulate me on the album. He heard it. He was like, man, this is so dope. I was like, man, what you did, you added to it, brother. He's dope. Shout out to Big Rube.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, taking it way back, the first time I remember hearing of you was the Turn It Loose, You Better Think single way back in the day.
Yeah.
So what, and both of those are produced by Sir Jinx. And then I also, some versions of the single had Slipping in the Darkness, some didn't. Do you remember why that song was on some and not on other versions?
Because we did that one last. We kind of was messing around. Because see, this is what happened with that whole record. I was at the time, Dre was real busy doing the Rhodium Swap Meet tapes. And I did a few. I think I jumped on like maybe 2 at the time. And so I was like, okay, I'm ready to start working on something for me. And Dre was like, all right. And Jinx was like, all right. But since I was Jinx' boy, you know, we was best friends. You know, everybody kind of put it on Jinx' shoulders to help with this project. What ended up happening was JJ Fad had got into it with Roxanne Shante, and they wanted to make a diss record. And so Dre pulled me to the side and said, hey, why don't you help me write this diss record for JJ Fad? I was like, cool, why don't you help me produce this record? You know what I'm saying? So he was like, cool. So I went over to the house one day. He chopped up You Better Think. Like he really chopped it up and had it going. And then he let Jinx take over and Jinx finished it out and Jinx did a phenomenal job. But we knocked that out, man. And then we knocked out Turn It Loose. Turn It Loose was really the first record we worked on. And then we did You Better Think. And then Jinx was just still learning his chops, man. And he ended up chopping up Slipping in the Darkness. We ended up doing that. And we got Michel'le on it. Michel'le jumped on it. And we was like, okay, you know, this is not just a play record. We could do something with it. And that's how I ended up jumping on a few projects.
Okay. Now with Turn It Loose, I'm from Maryland. I love go-go. So I was just like, man, they got Bustin' Loose. They're playing off the Chuck Brown.
Yeah.
So what did you like about Bustin' Loose by Chuck Brown?
The beat, the drums, everything about go-go. You know what I'm saying? The energy of the drums, the congos, bongos, everything, just the whole energy, the horns. And it was just dope. It was a dope record, and Jinx took it and flipped it, man, and killed it. He flipped it where he kept it honest, but he still put that Sir Jinx touch on it, and I just went for it lyrically.
Right. And then as you do throughout Baking Soda, even back then, you had like the little snippet on Turn It Loose of like Real Roxanne, you know. It was just
Yeah,
all the little things that I thought were awesome that you were doing back in the 88, 89 era that you're still doing today on
yeah.
Baking Soda that I really appreciated. And
Oh, thanks, bro.
yeah. And then with You Better Think, I always wanted to get from you, since this was pretty early, you were addressing even back then about people claiming Compton. So what do you remember that was happening even way back then, that people were using Compton to get on or use it for whatever reason?
Yeah, it was just popping, man. Compton was just the, N.W.A made it so popular. Eazy made it so popular that everybody started claiming Compton. Like serious, like they might have had a grandmother or auntie, and they might have stayed there for the summer with their grandma, but they claiming Compton. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, you can't claim Compton. And plus I was just a little frustrated with that. And really, You Better Think was really a East Coast record. It was really an East Coast diss. It was a diss for them. I just put the Compton in there too because that was irritating to me at the time. But it all worked out, man. I mean, because it wasn't a diss, because the artists from Compton respected it because MC8 used it on Final Chapter. They scratched that line on Final Chapter, so it was all love. It was all
Hmm.
love.
And also, I remember, because I didn't know who he was at the time, but later, of course, I learned Kelvin Anderson executive produced that. So how, and from VIP Records and people in Long Beach, etc. But how did you end up getting with him and what was the Thin Line Records?
Well, he had just he had hooked up with Jinx. That was Jinx Connect, and he reached out to Jinx. Was like, I want to get off into making records. And Jinx was like, cool. And so Jinx brung me one day, and we had a meeting. And Calvin was like, okay, I want to, let's put out something. At the time, Calvin didn't have a studio. Jinx helped him build a studio, and he had a studio in the back of VIP Records. And it was funny because Snoop, he might not like what I'm going to say, but he's still a homie, much love. But Snoop tried to get up in that studio, and nobody was able to get up in that studio. Man, Cal was like, nah, this is for my artists. So we took advantage of the studio, man, and we ended up cooking up a lot of good stuff in there.
Hmm.
Shout out to Calvin, and shout out to DJ Slice, rest in peace.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, then after that, I knew you were in the Lynch Mob. I knew you were doing stuff with them, and I saw your name doing stuff. But what happened from this era, or that era, I should say, to Everybody Wants to Be a Gangster? There were like, that was a long time before I started seeing a lot of Dazzie D stuff again. What was happening in between there?
Well, what happened was, Q kind of had an idea and a concept of how he wanted the Lynch Mob to go, and I'm not saying I wasn't feeling it, but I kind of just didn't agree to the point to where I said, okay, uh, you got there. You know what I'm saying? Meaning you had a progression. You know what I'm saying? You was on some gangster rough shit, gangster shit, and then you progress to having wisdom and knowledge and understanding about some things, which is cool. But we kind of wasn't there yet. You know what I'm saying? We kind of still wanted to rap, you know what I'm saying, and keep it hood and do more street stuff. And Cube had another vision for the group. So, I just humbly walked away. It was no love lost or nothing. I just said, nah, I kind of want to, I still got some things I want to say on a hip hop street level. So I walked away, and I ended up getting my deal with Capitol Records, and then I brought Battlecat with me, and we ended up knocking that out. So it was like maybe like a 3 year maybe gap between me being active with the Lynch Mob and then going doing my solo stuff.
So how and why did you get with Battlecat at that time?
Battlecat was working on what was it called? Ghetto
Domino?
Gumbo Roots. Gumbo.
Okay.
No, he had a deal with Harry O. He was putting out an album through Harry O, and he was working on that. I think it was called Gumbo Roots. And he called me one day. He was like, Dazzie, come get on the song I made. I said, okay, dope. So I went up to the studio and laid my verse And it came out so dope. Me and Cat was like, okay, we got something here. And I end up, I was shopping for my deal before I even did that with Battlecat though. And about time I did that record with Cat, I had got my deal. So it was like right, it lined up perfectly. So when I got my deal, I brought Cat with me. I was like, I want Battlecat to produce this whole album. And Capital was like, why? You know, we got, you know, you got the deal off your production. You know what I'm saying? Do like a DJ Quik thing. You know what I'm saying? Produce and rap. I was like, not right now. I say, I got a brother that's in the cut right now that's amazing. And I want him to, you know, be a part of this album. And you know, we fought for it and made it happen. And the rest is history with me and Cat.
In the beginning, hip-hop was ruled by the East Coast. Then the West Coast rose to prominence, thanks to gangster rap.
Straight out of Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube.
Hip-hop changed the world. Gangster rap changed the narrative.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
And then changed the world again.
Cause I'll come and take your life away.
The history of gangster rap features unheard stories, unseen photos and documents, all with exclusive interviews from the founders and players who shaped gangster rap.
I think a real gangster rapper has to scare you a little bit.
The history of gangster rap written by veteran rap journalist Soren Baker. In stores now.
Yo, what up? This is DJ Quik. Be sure to pick up my homeboy Soren Baker's book, The History of Gangster Rap, if you really want to know what we do.